Industries. This is the state of Utah, the Rainbow Land. Utah is located in the heart of the Intermountain West and is bounded on the north by Idaho and Wyoming, on the east by Colorado, on the south, Arizona, and on the west by Nevada. Today, as we travel over the old Mormon Trail, we realize that perhaps no migration of a people was ever more dramatic or epic in proportion than the march of the Mormons westward from the Missouri River to the Great Salt Lake Valley. After months of privation, the original party, led by Brigham Young, arrived at the mouth of Emigration Canyon, July 24th, 1847. Here the exhausted caravan halted to rest. Their leader, gazing out over the great valley, exclaimed in these immortal words, "This is the place." A monument commemorates the historic event, which marked the beginning of a vast inland empire, where people are free to work and worship as they desire. A century has passed. A century of progress. The hand of civilization has changed the scene from desert to habitation and to streamlined structures of a modern era. Beautiful Salt Lake City has become the scenic and industrial center of the Intermountain West. Here in the heart of the city, a monument has been erected in memory of the great leader, Brigham Young. Historic landmarks stand surrounded by a modern city. World famous is the Mormon Temple, which was built at a cost of over $3.5 million. Started in 1853, it took 40 years to construct. Standing close by is the Tabernacle, the most widely known building in the state. It seats comfortably approximately 8,000 people. The Seagull Monument was erected in grateful remembrance of the mercy of God to the Mormon pioneers, as in 1848 their crops were miraculously saved from hordes of crickets by the timely arrival of great flocks of seagulls. Standing on a high terrace overlooking the city of Logan is the beautiful Mormon Temple, which can be seen for many miles in any direction. It is one of the older temples, having been completed in 1884. Shoshone Indians helped in its construction by hauling timber and stone from the distant canyons. The St. George Temple in southern Utah was the first of 4 in the state to be completed. It was built on swampy ground, and hundreds of tons of rock were used to provide a solid foundation. Another beautiful Mormon temple is located in the little town of Manti. This, too, was built high on a hill overlooking a lovely valley. The people of Utah are justly proud of their state capitol building, which overlooks the city and the great Salt Lake Valley. It is recognized as one of the finest of its kind in the United States, and is built mainly of Utah granite and marble. Directly below is the busy city with its many places of interest and charm, beckoning the sightseer. The Mormon Battalion Monument honors the 500 volunteers who enlisted in the United States Army to serve in the Mexican War. Utah has long been recognized for its modern educational program, which has placed it among the states ranking highest in the literacy of their population. The State Agricultural College at Logan has a normal enrollment of nearly 5,000 students. The Brigham Young University at Provo has an average attendance of over 5,000. Its students come from all over the world. They constitute truly an international body. While the University of Utah at Salt Lake City has an enrollment of nearly 10,000 students, double what it had at the end of World War II. A network of fine streets and highways branches out from Salt Lake City in all directions to guide the motorist through cool tree-lined streets, past attractive homes in the residential districts. Since the early days, the people have cultivated their lawns and flowers. There are 23 public parks within the city boundaries, which comprise nearly 7,000 acres of land. A half hour's easy climb from the city through any one of 6 rugged canyons brings you to the heart of a mountain wilderness. Hidden away in quiet, shady nooks are found many summer camps and picnic grounds where one can stop and rest or linger a while to enjoy the cool, gentle breezes that blow down from the summit of the rugged Wasatch Range. At the head of Little Cottonwood Canyon is the early day town of Alta, which at one time was a rip-roaring silver camp. But as the veins of valuable metal were exhausted, Alta was, like other boom towns of the early West, destined to fade away like a dream and be forgotten. And all but had when something happened. Alta would still be a ghost camp had not some exploring skiers discovered and reported the perfect snow conditions on the mighty slopes of the Alta region. Through the combined efforts of many people, the fame of Alta's snow soon spread, and today it is world famous. Trails have been cut from the mountainsides to provide easy access to downhill and slalom slopes for ski-minded people. Like birds in flight, the jumpers soar out into the air, bringing many breathtaking thrills to the thousands who gather here to witness the greatest sport in the world. This splendid winter playground can be reached in less than an hour's drive from the city. And with the season 6 months long, few winter sports areas can enjoy such a favorable combination. Ski lodges provide a grand place to relax, and after a thrilling day at Alta or Brighton, they offer a welcome beacon to the tired skier. 15 miles west of Salt Lake City is an ancient Dead Sea, the world-famed Great Salt Lake. The lake is about 70 miles long and 50 miles wide, and it is 4,000 feet above sea level. This water is being pumped from the lake into flumes, which carry it to settling ponds. The sun evaporates the water, leaving a deposit of salt. The first salt harvest begins in late summer after the ponds have been drained of excess water. Heavy hydraulic equipment is used to scoop up the salt. Piled in huge stacks, the crude salt is allowed to drain before removal to the refining plant, where it is dried and processed into pure salt. Bathing in the lake is a never-to-be-forgotten thrill, for the water is so buoyant due to its 21% salt content that you can't possibly sink. You can stay in for hours, as the water is quite warm. Salt Lake is famous for its sunsets. The drive home in the gathering shadows brings a glorious climax to a colorful day spent on the lake shore. Another side trip from the city is a 20-mile drive southwest to the narrowest town in America, the typical western mining town of Bingham. It has only one street, but it is 5 miles long. The reason for this, it had to be built in a narrow canyon. At the end of town, the street runs through a 7,000-foot tunnel that is cut through a mountain. Traffic moves one way at a time and is controlled by an electric eye. At the far end, we emerge on the rim of the largest open-cut copper mine in the world, considered one of the outstanding engineering marvels of the age. The magnitude of this operation is almost beyond comprehension. There are over 140 miles of railroad track within the pit. Each day sees the removal of nearly 2,500 carloads of ore and waste material, while the rumble of ore trains continues day and night. Utah's mining industry has become a fabulous development of silver, gold, lead, copper, and other metals. Thus, the vast number of processing mills make Utah the leading state in total smelting operations. The molten refuse from the smelters is hauled out and dumped on the slag pile. It is like the lava flow from an erupting volcano, and thunders and hisses as it rushes down the cinder bank. Of Utah's 85,000 square miles of territory, nearly 1/7 is known to contain coal. It is a uniformly high-grade bituminous variety, and the market extends throughout Utah and all states to the west. There are 84 commercial mines in operation throughout the state, and the supply of coal seems unlimited. At almost any hour of any day, the long coal trains can be seen huffing and puffing their way up and over the high mountain passes, carrying their great burden of coal to near and far-away markets. The fuel is used both in homes and various types of industrial establishments. Much of it is readily converted into coke for blast furnace operation. There are several iron and steel plants in Utah, the largest of which is the integrated steel plant at Geneva. This project represents an investment of approximately $200 million and is one of the most modern works of its kind in America. An important factor in the long-range program for the steel industry in Utah is the close proximity of ample metals required in the making of high-grade alloy steel. The operation of the Geneva plant is attracting numerous fabricators of steel articles. All of this leads to an expansion of income and employment. A total of over 8 million acres makes Utah rank as one of the first 10 states in the Union in national forest area. 2.5 million sheep depend on the grasses of the forest for their summer range. The diversified wealth of the national forest is protected and developed by the United States Forest Service. Under the watchful eye of this department, the forest is protected from fire, as are the soils and watersheds. There are more than 2,000 miles of good trout fishing water in Utah. These streams offer a grand opportunity for the fly fishermen, or if you just want to still fish, why, what could be better than this spot? To hook a fighting rainbow is a never-to-be-forgotten thrill. Here's the strike. Wham! Look at that fellow rip through the water. It takes skill to handle that bundle of dynamite. Keep his head up, pal. Just a little slack in that line, and all you'll have is a tall story to tell. Oh, boy. Will he land him? Hooray! He does it! Can you imagine a mess of these beauties rolled in flour and fried in butter? Well, here they are, just about ready. Don't they look just grand? Each spring, thousands of cattle are driven from the valleys into the uplands to graze among the pines and quaking aspens. Besides the vast areas of the National Forest, there are 25 million acres of land under the supervision of the United States Grazing Service. Because of its rich endowment of grazing areas, Utah has become one of the leading states in the country's livestock industry. With a strong policy of conservation with use, the forest can be made a continuing source of wealth from which all Utah citizens benefit. Utah has many large ranch projects where both breeding stock and cattle for the market are produced on a large scale. Several of these are among the most important ranches in the West. They are the sources of the finest beef strains, so much in demand throughout the nation. Though horses in Utah are dwindling in number, there is one field in which the horse will always be indispensable. As long as there are cattle to be herded and rounded up, there will be cowboys and horses. No modern device will ever take the place of the thousands of ponies used in our country's vast cattle industry. The cattle drive to the shipping point is often a long and weary journey. 35 miles north from Salt Lake City is Ogden, Utah's second city in size and importance. It is a busy and happy city with everybody going places and doing things. Ogden is one of the big shipping centers of the Intermountain West. The trade lines extend in all directions, and cargoes find destination points in faraway seaports of the world. 4 major transcontinental systems provide primary rail service with fast freight and passenger trains. All of this available transportation is responsible for Ogden's having one of the greatest stockyards in the country. Beef cattle from a widely scattered area converge on this distribution center to find their way to markets and local packing plants. The growing of alfalfa is well suited to these rich Utah valleys. It is possible to harvest as many as 3 or more crops in a season. Good pasture land, together with excellent breeds of stock, make dairying one of the great industries of the state. When the first pioneers arrived, these fertile valleys were a thirsty and unproductive desert. They at once set about diverting the streams and spreading the water over the land. Trees and gardens flourished, and towns and cities came into being. Today, with the help of modern engineering, many reclamation projects have been constructed on a grand scale. The impounding of the spring runoff holds the water in reserve to be used when most needed. Thus, vast bodies of reserve water have expanded the state's agriculture by hundreds of thousands of acres. With the help of a controlled water supply, great areas of man-made marshes and lakes have been created to form the largest migratory bird sanctuaries in the world. Brigham City celebrates the harvest season by staging a first-class parade. This locality is famous for its peaches, so they call the celebration Peach Day, only it lasts for 2 days. The big attraction is the fruit display, which is proudly exhibited on Main Street. Looks mighty tempting. Down at the old corral on the edge of town, the cowboys are throwing a rodeo. Or should we say, the horses are throwing the cowboys. Them there Brahma steers are sure enough ornery critters, and they just ain't made to be rode. For my money, I'd just soon tangle with a buzzsaw going full speed. Autumn in Utah is the signal to take a trip into the hills. A drive up any of the many canyons will bring the motorist to one of nature's most spectacular displays. One never ceases to be thrilled at the amazing beauty of all this, and it is easy to understand the reason for naming Utah the Rainbow Land. The maple, the oak, the aspen all contribute their own glorious colors to the pattern. Zion National Park is located in the heart of the desert and canyon country of southern Utah. The chief feature of the park is Zion Canyon, with its sheer sandstone cliffs encircling the valley to form the Great Gorge. It is a realm of nature's temples and cathedrals, each having a fitting name. What could be more appropriate than to call this outstanding spectacle the Great White Throne? The forming of Zion Canyon was chiefly the work of the Virgin River. For an untold number of years, the stream has been digging into the canyon, exposing the cliffs to erosion, which caused fragments to fall and be carried away by the river below. Here at the base of the towering cliffs winds the highway, which has been called the most spectacular feat of road construction ever undertaken. It is the only part of this primitive wilderness ever touched by the hand of man. The canyon seems always to have been viewed with reverence. Somehow its very grandeur inspires worship and brings a feeling of peace. From the east, the park is entered by the Mount Carmel Highway that runs through a mile-long tunnel. At 6 selected points, the walls of the tunnel have been broken out to disclose views of the gorge below. There, the climbing road is flung like a lariat around the bold mountain wall. Now the road to Bryce Canyon beckons, and the approach through Red Canyon brings a surprise at every turn. Here, the winding highway clings to the cliffside, gliding smoothly along through pine-scented forests. Each mile brings the motorist higher and higher into the mountains. Suddenly, a curve in the road, and there, just ahead, is the brink of Bryce Canyon. Here, the sightseeing visitor stops to gaze in wonder at this most colorful of landscapes. Millions of years of the Earth's history are uncovered in this open book of the rock. Yet even now, the formations are constantly undergoing change. Foot trails descend from the rim to wind about this enchanted canyon. Months could be spent wandering over the trails that twist about in this labyrinth of color. In the shadows of sunset time, the colors change tone, and the work of rain, frost, and wind can be plainly seen. The older forms are crumbling away and new ones slowly appearing. Some of the walls have been completely perforated, and one stands as a beautifully carved natural bridge. Nature has hung this golden creation on the side of the canyon wall. In the southeastern part of Utah, there are still great expanses of country to be explored and developed. This vast region is one of America's last frontiers, and very few people live in this strangely eroded and tinted land. It is a region of arid land, awaiting the coming of water and the magic touch of civilization. With the slightest touch of moisture, the desert blossoms forth into a flowered fairyland. Many rare and beautiful flowers like the gilia are found here. Each little creation is a study in itself. Even the spiny cactus has blooms of delicate beauty. Its petals are so fragile that they hardly bear touching, and their vivid colors stand out boldly against the drab desert. There is one flower known to all. It is the Sego lily, the state flower of Utah. For centuries, the wind has carved these canyon walls. Little wonderland greets the adventurer who goes in quest of the unusual. One section of this tinted land is Arches National Monument, a veritable garden of make-believe. Silence reigns over this Arabian Nights treasure chest of nature's most glorious jewels. More of this region is becoming accessible. There are areas here in Devil's Garden as yet unexplored. Hidden away among the canyons, the ruins of an ancient civilization or another natural bridge may be awaiting discovery. Almost countless in number are the arches and bridges found in this area, and more are continually being discovered. One of the best known is the double arch with two great spans almost interlocking. The forward arch reaches a height of 157 feet and all but dwarfs the man at the bottom. The Indians referred to one of these wonders as a rainbow turned to stone. The golden sunset heralds the approaching night. As the last rays tip the distant mountains, the purple shadows steal silently across this fantastic land. The great stone elephants become more grotesque in the fading light. Imagine that they are giant creatures of prehistoric past that, if disturbed, might come charging down upon you at any moment. The Day of Days dies in all its glory, a never-to-be-forgotten day, spent in a land of scenic splendor. Utah, the Rainbow Land.